We are live.
Good afternoon and welcome to the East Hampton Town Architectural Review Board meeting of July 9th, 2020. This is a video conference meeting, and I'd like to open the meeting up with the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was dated June 25th, 2020. Peter, can I get a second on the approval?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Diane?
Aye.
Great, thank you very much. The first application on the agenda is under business sign, and that is Red Door Grill, tax map number 300-197-2-10-1, 354 Montauk Highway in Wainscott. And that would be Esperanza. If you could read into the record what the application is for.
Fine, yes. The application is for a new sign. Proposed sign is one single-sided sign at 20 square feet, correct? And it will have two overhead gooseneck 40-watt equivalent LED bulbs to illuminate it. And that's the picture of the proposed sign there above the entrance to the restaurant, and it's the Wainscott Shopping Center. I don't know if there's a caller on. What I will observe about it, we did not receive, there is a picture of how it appears now. If you all recall, we had this before us a few months ago regarding just a redesign of this doorway. And what we did approve was all white trim. The tenant proceeded to paint, as per the name of the restaurant, the doors in red. So that's one thing I wanted to make a note of. And the second thing is that they did not submit any specific colors for the sign. So I wasn't quite sure what those were.
All right, let's see if we have a caller on the line. Is that Michael?
Yes,
Michael, are you
yes.
with us today?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi,
There are three callers. I will unmute the first caller in a moment. Here we go. Hello, caller. You're with the ARB. Could you please state your name? Caller, are you there? Well, they are unmuted. Hearing none, I can move on to the next one if you'd like, Chair.
Yes, let me just say this. This is, we might be looking for Will at Ocean Graphics.
Thank you. I don't see that in any caller ID yet, but I'll move on to the next caller.
Well, thank you.
Hello, caller. You're live with the ARB. Could you state your name? Their line again is open, but hearing nothing, I can move on if you'd like to the third caller.
Okay. I'm wondering if there's something going on where they can't hear us or we can't hear them.
Hello, caller. You're live with ARB. Okay. Hearing nothing. I'm going to reach out to Jason and double check, but I believe everything's functional if you want to continue for the moment.
Okay, we will. May I just ask one question, Esperanza?
Yes.
Those two, I don't know what they are. They look like maybe
The speakers on either side?
speakers or a camera.
There are two cameras on at each side where the sign would go, and I believe those are speakers. I did take a look at that also.
Okay, and then we can. Nancy Lynn, should we proceed to discuss this, or should we wait for Michael to come back?
I mean, you can always go back if he finds a caller and recap. So why don't you go ahead? Otherwise, I think you might be waiting.
Okay, because I have a couple questions about this. In reading the application, I understood that the two goosenecks would have 40 watt each. So that's a total of 80 watts, where we usually try to keep it to 40. And
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if we really need two goosenecks over that sign.
I agree, Betsy. I think one would be sufficient.
right? Because it really is, well, it's 7 feet long approximately.
It's too big a sign for just one light.
Is it? Okay.
Could we then request that they put a lower wattage in each one to come to 40 watts, to 20 watts in each? I don't know how well lit that complex is at night.
Yeah.
I think 240 watts, right, in the goosenecks would be acceptable.
Okay, and then my
All
other
participants are
question-
unmuted.
excuse me?
Hello?
My question then would be, above the handicap sign, are there 2 light fixtures near the door?
Yes.
So you've got 2 light fixtures near the door that are probably 40 watts each, and then you're going to have 2 goosenecks up above shining down at 80 watts. I'm thinking, I'm a little concerned about the amount of light there, Peter. I mean, if those door lights weren't there, but they need the door lights, correct?
I think they need the door lights by code, right?
Right.
And I think the way the goosenecks would work, they would shine primarily on the sign, right, not on the ground. And at that height on it, I think 40-watt bulbs, right? I mean, I think what we've been saying is 40 watts per fixture, not 40 watts total, because we have a number.
We have requested 40 watts in total in the past, I recall. Can we take a look at the sign again? And then also, Derek, and then also the gooseneck?
Mic check 1 2. Hey guys, this is Jason Nauer from LTV. I am
Jason.
calling in, and this is from the conference line. And
Okay.
it seems that the conference line is operational on my end. Anyone else calling in right now? If you do a quick mic check.
Mark Schneider, but I'm not on this application.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Anyone else?
You're welcome.
Okay, guys, it looks like the phone line is operational, and things are okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, no problem. Bye, everyone.
Here's the gooseneck, and let's go back to the sign photograph.
I guess my question would be, how big is that gooseneck, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, because sometimes they're small and then sometimes they're much larger, so we don't know what the size is. I'm a little concerned about 2 lights up there.
I think it'll look busy now with the speakers and the cameras and then the 2. Yeah, it's a lot.
Well, it looks like they took the speakers out of that photograph.
Or they were put there later.
After.
Yeah. So, because that picture that I took was yesterday, day before yesterday. So.
Mhm. Right. So prior to them submitting this, they might have put those speakers up with the cameras. I don't know. Chip, do you have a feeling on this?
Chip, are you there?
Chip has left.
Is Chip there?
He is not on screen at the moment. His screen's
He
available.
Okay.
stepped away.
He stepped away.
Okay. Diane, do you have a feeling on this?
Well, I think that the gold sign and the red doors are sort of incompatible with all the,
Yes.
I just think the whole thing is
A little
jarring.
Yeah, garish.
Well, right now, the application is just for the sign only. We'll have to advise them that they'll have to come back for change to commercial application for those red doors. So let's just focus on the sign. But that being said, are we thinking that there's just a lot going on with the lights by the doors and 2 lights up on the sign, the speakers and the cameras and.
Yeah, and you have to think of this as a greater complex, because all of these buildings, I think this one is all white trim, if I'm not mistaken, but across the way, there are different colors on all the trim. So it then, it just becomes a lot of visual noise, I think.
Right. And I also think that if we had Will or somebody representing Red Door Grill on the line, we could ask them what actual size the goosenecks are, because if they're more of a petite size, I would be less reluctant to approve two. But if they're of the larger realm, I'm concerned about two of them up there.
Right.
Did Chip come back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry.
Chip, what's your take on this with the lights?
Well, this is a shopping center that had a lot of promise when it was built, and it's been, you know, over the years, no one's paid any attention to anything, and it's sort of a mishmash of lots of different things. And this particular building, you can't see it from the road because there's a lot of vegetation. So I can see why the lights are needed. But I mean, the thing it was supposed to hold together as a complex, and it doesn't hold together at all because people have done all sorts of terrible things to these buildings.
Right. Well, I'm getting the feeling that Red Door Grill, which is a Pan-Asian restaurant, I would imagine that a lot of their business will be takeout,
I
regardless.
think it is exclusively takeout, Betsy.
Right. And so at nighttime, it might need to have the extra lighting.
I mean, it's the only thing there. The ABOF's Pain is to the right. They're closed at 5, 6 o'clock. So when you get back there, this is probably, there's a deli, but this is, you know, it's not something that you can see from 27 at all.
I disagree with that, Chip, because I think I'm, you know, I go by this all the time. I live right next door, basically, and you can see this really from 27.
Isn't there an island of trees or something that block it?
Not really. That's more in front of the deli than this.
Oh.
Yeah. Nancy Lynn, since I'm concerned about the actual size of the light fixtures, can we table this since we don't have anyone on any caller on the line to give us information?
Could you go back to the light fixture cut? Oh, there's no dimensions on it.
No.
I haven't sat in with you guys since you've been doing the remote, but I assume you are easing up a little bit on the better show up, or we'll just deny it. Because
no, I wasn't suggesting denying. I was suggesting tabling it.
No, I know, but in the past, if they didn't show up and there were questions, then it would be denied. But I understand that probably under these circumstances, you're looking to table them because the format's a little harder for people to participate. Right. So no problem with tabling it. You can get additional information.
Right. And then we could also then reach out to them and let them know that the red doors need to come before us for approval as well.
Yes. I actually spoke with the owner, the landlord. I happened to speak with him this week because I think we'll have another application or something before us coming soon, or the next meeting. But I mentioned this to him, and he's aware already. So
okay, all right. So he's already aware of it. So why don't we go ahead and move on, and we'll table this for the next meeting, and hopefully we could ask the owner or Will from Motion Graphics if they can give us a cut sheet with the size of the light fixture in addition to the visual of it.
Yes.
Okay.
And also the colors, right? The specific colors, we needed that.
So you didn't get specific colors in the file?
No.
Can we go back to the picture of isn't it just like a black and gold? So we would need.
I wasn't sure. Is it black and gold? Is it, I wasn't sure if it was dark green from my printout or from this. Right. So I assume it's black and gold. Yeah.
Okay. But we do need to have that either specified that it's black with gold and what the gold color is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're going to table this. So I'm going to move on to Allegiance Personal Training Tax Map number 300-119-5-8.4, 289 Springs Fireplace Road in East Hampton, and that would be Chip.
So this is an application for a sign for a training facility. It's in the shopping complex just past the recycling center where you drive in, and One Stop Market to the right, and then this building is to the left. They would like to put a sign on the side of the building that you drive in that's parallel to the driveway. So it wouldn't face the back, it wouldn't face the front, it's facing the side. As you come around this building, there is then parking in the back of the building. There's not a lot of information about the sign. I can't tell what the colors are at all, and I can't tell if it's, there appears to be the ghost of an old sign right on the wood siding of this building. I can see the outline, but I don't know what this sign is, as they provided no color information and no...
At the bottom.
There is color information, yeah. Fire red, Pantone, black, white.
Where's that?
It's right at the bottom.
Right there.
It's where?
On the bottom of the picture where they have the sign size, dimensions, and then underneath personal training, it says colors, fire red, Pantone 2347C, black, white. So we don't know if this is going to be pin lettering
All
or
participants are
paint on.
muted.
Sorry about
Okay,
that.
on my copy, it's that is all blurred. Okay, so
Did anyone else hear that? It says all participants are muted.
Nancy,
Yes, I
sorry,
did.
that was me. That was a technical error. Everything
Okay.
is fine.
All right.
I
Okay, good.
apologize.
Just checking.
Yes, we have a couple callers on the line whenever you're ready.
Okay, I think we're looking for Catherine Mitchell.
I'm uncertain if this is Catherine, but I will unmute this person.
Thank you.
Hello, caller. You're live with the ARB.
Hi, this actually is Will at Ocean Graphics.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Good.
so Nancy Lynn, can we jump back?
Yep.
All right. Stay with us, Will. Don't go anywhere.
You
Were
got
you
it.
able to hear our conversation about Red Door Grill and our concerns with the gooseneck lights?
No, not yet. I've been trying to get service to call in.
All right, so you weren't able to hear us. Okay. So we,
No.
Esperanza, why don't you present it to Will? Go ahead.
Okay, so Will, we were, first of all, when I looked at the application, there were no specific colors included. As well, though, we were concerned about the two goosenecks to illuminate the sign, and since there was no size indicated on the cut sheet, we needed to find out from you what that was as well.
And our
Oh,
concern
there
with
weren't
the
dimensions on there?
No.
there are dimensions for the sign, but not for the size of the gooseneck. Our concern is that there are two light fixtures on either side of the doors. Then there's also some speakers and it looks like little cameras. My concern having two goosenecks on top of the sign, that there's a lot of moving parts on the facade of this building. And I was wondering if this was a
Right.
larger size gooseneck that we could get away with one with a 40 watt as opposed to two. But if they're more of a petite gooseneck, Peter seems to feel that you would need two to illuminate that 7 feet span. What's your say
Right.
on
Yeah,
that?
they were just 10-inch shades on them, similar to the ones that were in the property right next door. I believe they have two on there.
Mm.
So that was why they wanted to do the gooseneck, to kind of match what the other tenants had.
You mean at the deli? I didn't take a look at that.
Is that, are the goosenecks over a sign above the door in a similar fashion?
Yes.
And they have two?
Yep.
Okay.
And these would be black too, so they wouldn't really be too, too much contrast against the siding, so they wouldn't stand out as much.
Right. And the other concern I had as well was the fact that it was going to be two 40 watt bulbs. I'm wondering if maybe we could reduce them to 30 watt each, and so we're a total of 60 as opposed to 80 overall.
Yeah, that's fine. It's LED, so it'd probably be like, I forget what's below that. I think it's 25 watt each, but they throw the same amount of, so.
Yeah, so why don't we do that?
I'm
Why
fine
don't
with
we
that.
suggest that we do 25 watt each LEDs there instead of the 40 watts?
Sure.
Okay. And is it possible for us to get a color code for the gold and confirmation that the background is black?
Yeah, it's a black background. The gold is like a gold metallic, so there's not really like a Pantone or, I mean, I could maybe get you a vinyl swatch. I could drop it off.
Okay, I think that would be good for us to have that in the file, just so that it's not lighter or darker than what we're expecting it to be, even though it's a metallic.
Sure.
And then we just also wanted to mention to you that Esperanza spoke with the owner about the doors being painted red. They have to come back in front of us for a change to commercial, but that's not what you're here for.
Review, yeah.
Right. I just wanted to mention that.
I can let him know.
Yeah, just in case it comes up. So, does anybody on the board have any other questions for Will on this?
Nope.
Nope.
No. So, Esperanza, would you like to move forward?
Yeah. So I move to approve this application as submitted, with the understanding that the bulbs for the gooseneck lights will be 25 watt bulbs as opposed to the 40 watt bulbs.
Right, 25 LEDs. Great. Okay. Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Chip?
Yes, aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay, Will, good. You're good to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye.
So let's go back then to Allegiance personal training. And Chip, I have a question for you. When you pull into the parking lot for the One Stop, is this the building back towards the left? It's not part of the One Stop complex?
It's the other building. It's on the left. There's two buildings.
Right.
One Stop is on the right, and this is on the left.
Right.
And this
So
is
you
on
don't
the
really-
side.
You don't really see it from the road when you're pulling in.
You don't see it, but because there's an arborvitae hedge, but where this facade is the side of the building, so it's not the front facing Springs fireplace, and it's not the back facing the parking lot. It's the side of the building above
So
the
facing
arborvitae
north?
hedge.
Would that
Sorry?
be facing north?
There's a north arrow on the site plan.
Yeah, I guess it is north. Yeah, it's here. It's where those three little four parking space. What is this? Yeah, it's the side where there's 2 or 3 parking. I don't think this is.
That's south facing.
No, this is not.
If you see the north arrow
So,
on the upper left.
yeah.
Right.
This
And
is-
where is this entrance?
The building has this particular gym has 2 entrances. As you pull in the second driveway, the one to the far right, stay away from the one on the left. Yes, you pull in that driveway. I don't think this is exactly accurate because I think there's parking spaces now in front of this side of the building. You go to the left, and then it's the big first square building, rectangular building, and it has entrances facing the back. And it has Old Fireplace Road, which isn't a road, I don't think, and has, and then the front faces Springs Fireplace Road. So it's the side of the building, it's the right side of the building.
Right. Facing north. Okay.
But I'm not sure this is exactly the parking configuration because there seem to be parking spaces in front of this. But anyway, this is for a 19.56 square foot sign. It's going to be up above the windows and the doors. There is a light already in place, and there appears to have been a sign there because there's the ghost of letters on the actual side of the building, on the clapboard side.
Did you take a picture of the existing space so we could see the light fixture?
Yeah, Derek has it. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, that's one of my pictures. Yeah. So that's the back of the building, and then this is the side of the building, and you can actually see there's stuff going on under that light fixture, whether they had painted a previous sign right on the building. I couldn't, there's ghosting there of lettering.
Right, right.
Mhm.
So we don't know if this sign is going to be painted on the building, pin signage, or an actual structural sign.
I couldn't tell, and I now see the colors are, my copy is not clear, but I got a magnifying glass. So there's these red and black and white colors are on this sign, but it's not a very good rendering of the sign. I don't know how does the sign get up there? It looks like it's painted on the building again.
Or also, it could also be pin letters too. Michael, is there any caller on the line for
Yes,
for
there's
us?
a new caller. I will unmute them now, and we can see if they're for this. One moment.
Great, thank you.
Hello, caller. You're live with the ARB. Could you state your name, please?
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Brooke Hartnett. I'm the owner of Allegiance Personal Training.
Great, thanks, Brooke. Can you spell your last name for the record?
A-N-E-E-A.
You're breaking up. Can you say your name again, please?
Yes, Brooke Hartnett, spelled H-A-R-T-N-E-T.
Okay. We're getting a bad signal, so I don't know if you need to move around. Are you up in the Springs?
Hello? Yes?
Okay, there you are.
Better?
Okay. Yeah.
Great.
So were you able to hear some of our conversation or questions that we had?
Yes. And I think there was a question about how the lettering was getting up there. Is that true?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, so the lettering will be pinned against the building, and the previous tenant of the building also pinned it, which is probably what you were seeing against the building, was the pin marks of the old letters.
Okay,
Got
let's
it.
go back to the signage, Derek, please, so we can all look at that once again. There you go. Okay.
Oh, so it's a red A and a black, the rest of Allegiance is black, and then there's white lettering under that, is that right?
Yeah, and you're going to keep
Yes,
the
sir.
existing light?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have any questions or problems with this. Does anybody else
No.
have any questions?
Mm-mm.
No?
No,
Okay.
No,
Chip, you want to go ahead and move forward?
sure. So I move that we approve a 19.56 square foot sign, colors to be the red, black, and white, pinned to the building on the side of the building above the two doors,
Right. And that the light fixture is the existing light fixture.
and lighting to remain as is, yes.
All right. Excellent. Okay. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor? Peter,
I,
Diane,
Aye.
and Betsy, I. Okay, Brooke, you're good to go. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, everyone.
Okay, you
Thank
too.
you.
All right. Fences, walls, and berms, Bernarda Beltry has been postponed. The next one is James Ratner, which would be tax map number 300-189-4-6327 Further Lane in East Hampton. And we might be looking for Ramon Martinez on the line.
There is no new callers other than the previous caller who's calling in for a talk manner.
Okay, so this would be Diane. Can you read into the record what the application is for, please?
Absolutely. This is for a driveway gate, 5 feet high and 15 feet 2 inches wide, painted white. This is the second time the application has been before us, Derek. And this is the revised drawing for the gate. They have lowered their expectations considerably and opened up the gate considerably. And there was some question about, on the survey, it indicates that there is a fence on the Further Lane side, a stockade fence, but there is absolutely no stockade fence whatsoever. And I think they've greatly improved this proposal for this gate. I think it will look absolutely just fine. So,
Right, and the positioning is far enough back, and I'm very grateful to Ramon that he's bringing these 6 foot gates down to 5.
yes, me
So,
too.
okay.
Yeah, I think there's no problem with this application. So unless, so I make a motion that we,
Excuse
that
me,
we
Chair, if I
accept
may
this.
interrupt, I apologize. Did you say the name of the person you were waiting for? Because there is a new caller on the line.
Ramon
Okay, no.
Martinez.
No, I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So Diane, go ahead, please.
Yes, so I make a motion that we accept this application as submitted.
Can I get a second, Chip?
Second.
All in favor? Peter?
Aye.
Betsy? Esperanza.
Aye.
Sorry. Aye.
Okay, good.
All right. Great. Thank you. The next one would be Robert Gerbino, tax map number 300-172-3-38.7 Old Station Place in Amagansett. And that also was Ramon and Diane Benson.
Okay, so this is for also for a driveway gate painted white. Now proposed at 5 feet and 18 feet in length. Now, the problem is if we could see the survey, yes, if we could see the survey. Now, this is a gate that is going to slide behind a hedge. And the hedge is over here to the left. And they're saying the gate is 18 feet wide. But if it is 20 feet from the road, as they're indicating, which would put it right behind this hedge, in order for it to slide behind the hedge, then by necessity, the gate is 27 feet wide, about 27 feet wide. My measuring tape only goes to 25 feet. So, and it was a few more feet. So if it is to cover this, driveway from behind the hedge, then it is a very, very wide gate. It goes midway between the road and the garage of the house. And I think that, I have some pictures, Derek. Yeah. Okay, so imagine that the gate is sliding behind this tree hedge, and if it crosses directly over, that's about 27 or 28 feet. So it's a massive gate in a very small space.
Yeah.
But it is now they're only proposing a 5-foot high gate, and it is quite open, but it just seems like so much gate for so small a space.
Well, it's essentially a stockade fence they're building that's going to roll. That's what they're doing.
Well, yeah, but it looks like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like that. So it's open. It's just this 27 feet wide. I mean, that's a lot of gate. And so I think that this 18 feet is impossible, or the gate is just going to waft in the sort of the middle of the driveway.
Well, what it looks like, and we came across this once before, and I think it was a disadvantage that we didn't ask what the 8-foot area where the gate slides behind, what that is actually going to look like. Is that a panel? So that it would be a solid 8-foot panel. So
you mean the part of the gate that slides?
No, if you look at, so you have 2 panels to the gate, right? One panel will go behind that 8-foot area that looks like a solid panel that the gate slides behind. Peter, can you give us your interpretation of this?
This might just be, you're referring to the X on the right side. That might just be the frame that I don't quite understand it, or I can't verify it, but it might just be the frame that the sliding gate is supported by.
It slides into, but which is totally covered by very tall trees.
Right, but my question would be, is that a solid panel or is that an open panel?
I think it's an open panel, and what you're seeing is just the framework.
But you wouldn't see it anyway, because it's entirely hidden behind that If we could see the pictures again, Derek?
I know, but I would be
Behind the
remiss I would be remiss to approve something that we don't know specifically if that's a solid panel that has an X of trim in front of it, or if it's open.
Okay, well, maybe that panel is visible, and that would account for why they're saying the gate is only 18 feet
Right,
wide,
exactly.
when in fact, it needs to be about 27 or 28 feet.
Right. My experience has been when the gate slides behind the panel is usually solid.
And it's
So-
visible.
Right, and it is going to be visible because that's your 26 inches, 26 feet right there if it's 18 and 8.
Excuse
So
me, Chair,
if
if I
Ramon
may,
is-
just to let you know, there are 2 new callers, if you want me to see
All right.
if any pertain to this.
Great, yes, please do.
One moment. Hello, caller, you're live with the ARB. Please state your name.
Hello, this is Ramon Chavez Martinez from
Oh.
Congregation Center, Hampton.
Hi, Ramon, how are you today?
So Ramon, can you explain to us?
Okay.
Yes.
Derek, let's go back to the design of the gate, please, on the smartboard.
Okay. Let me. What's your question? I'm sorry.
It seems to
Hello?
me, yes, it seems to me that this panel, I mean, they're depicting the future driveway edge. It means that this panel that it slides into is behind those trees. Is that correct?
Yes, it's going to be behind the trees, but the gate is not solid at all. It's
No,
going to
we
be a
understand
square
that.
in the middle. Yeah.
We understand that. We understand
Yeah,
that it's quite open. But the 18 feet doesn't make any sense, Ramon. It doesn't make any sense because this between the tree line and the other side of the driveway, it's more like 27 feet. It's not 18 feet.
Yes. That's why you saw the drawing. I write down how we're going to move the stone. We're going to move.
Oh,
the
you're going to move the
stone,
driveway.
and we're going to. Yeah, we're going to renew the driveway and put planting to cover whatever is missing between one pine and the other one.
Right, so the width of the driveway will be shorter.
Will be
and
reduced
Sean-
down to 18.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
and where
it's
he
going
has
to
the
be
future
shorter than
driveway edge shows where the driveway is going to be reduced to. Okay,
Okay, well, if they're going to reconfigure.
so my question to you is that 8-foot panel, is that a solid panel or is that open?
Open. That is only a frame. That is only a frame to support the gate on the air, the other side.
Right, and you can see through it, correct?
You can see through it. That's only a square tubing. A square tubing, one extra square tubing and a square tubing around.
So it's like a metal
Yeah,
frame.
all that is open.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions, Chip?
No, I mean, 18 is still wide, but I guess it's acceptable.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, there is another one.
Yeah.
It's a cul-de-sac, and there. I think there are only 5 houses, and there is another one that has a gate that's right in between the road and the house, and the more or less the same
I
relationship.
mean, most driveway gates are 10, 12 feet wide. This is
No,
gonna be
they're usually about 14 because you need to get an emergency vehicle in there, like a fire truck.
Okay, then if you're gonna go to that scale, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, right. And the fact that it's 5 feet tall, I think helps with the vastness of it. Peter, do you have any comments or questions?
Other than the question of why the design is looking like 2 swing gates when it's 1 sliding gate. It has a seam in the middle, so that it looks like it's 2 gates when it's not actually. It's 1 sliding gate. But that's a design question.
Yes, we're trying to do one design. Looks like it's two doors, but it's going to be only one. When you pull, you can see like two doors, but everything is going to slide to one side. But it's only the design, the way how one looks like.
Right.
Yeah, I know. I just question it, but I have no objection to the design.
Okay.
Esperanza?
I just object to having yet another gate on this little cul-de-sac.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a preponderance of gates, but if this is what the people want, it's their home. So I make a motion that we accept this application as submitted with the understanding that the driveway is going to be reconfigured so that the gate will in fact be 18 feet wide.
Well, and it seems that the driveway gate in the narrowest part will be 18 feet
Right.
based on the future driveway edge. Okay, so
I mean, as it is, the gate would be much, much wider. So if the reconfiguring the entire driveway and the bluestone and the gravel and everything, I mean, that's a personal choice.
So basically, we would be approving this as submitted.
No, as submitted with the understanding that the driveway is going to be reconfigured to accommodate.
It's right there. It says future driveway edge.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So,
Okay.
Can I get a second on that, Peter?
Second,
Chip,
Aye.
all in favor? Esperanza?
I say no.
Okay. Betsy, aye. All right, thank you. Ramon, do you have anything else with us?
looks
Yes,
like there's three.
have three. I submit three.
The next one.
But this one, yeah, but this one pass out or not? I have to do something.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you, Ramon. What?
I mean, this one pass out. This one, I mean, is okay.
Yes, the one
Yes,
on
this
Old
one's
Faithful
okay.
Place is okay. And prior to you calling in, we also approved the gate 327 Further Lane. Okay?
Yes.
All right. So because you have
to.
right.
So
Further Lane was approved. Further Lane was approved. Old Station Place was approved, and we're going to move on to now 6 Old Pine Drive. So this next application is for Stephen Garten, tax map number 300-113-1-2.036 Old Pine Drive. And I will read into the record what the application is for, which is for a driveway gate. Originally, the application asked for a 6-foot gate, total length 15.4 feet long, and we asked Ramon if he would be so kind to go back to the owner and see if we could get this down to a shorter height, and he came back to us with a new height, same design. If we can take a look at that, Derek. The one where the design is 5'4". Yeah, that's it. So basically the gate is 5 feet, but the couple inches on the caps on the post make the post 5'4". And most of it, 50% of it is open at 5 feet. I don't have a problem with that. I'm glad that they were willing to come down just from the 6 feet. Does anybody have any questions or problems with this gate?
I think I had also wondered whether we could make it more open by taking out every other picket.
Can I say something?
On the top part, Peter, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Above the panel on the bottom?
Right. Right now, it looks as if it's 50% open or thereabouts. And even with that, I was wondering if we could make it more open by taking every other picket out.
Ramon?
Yes, yeah, I can do that, no problem. Just, I have a question. How many inches of space do you like? The pickets are 1.5 by 1.5. Which space you want between picket and picket?
Well, would you want to do 1.5 and then 3 inches open? So you double the space open?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay,
I think that's
no
what you're
problem. I
looking-
can do that.
Okay, thank you. That would be great.
Then I'm sorry. Let me see something. I would like to do something better. Why it's in 1.5, 2.5, and 1.5? 2.5 inches of
2.5.
space.
It's good.
That's good. That gives us an extra inch.
Okay, great.
Okay,
Because I want 2.5, 1.5, 4, perfect. Okay.
right. And
Okay.
also, this is down a in a cul-de-sac, down at the end of the cul-de-sac. So I'd like to approve this application as presented with a 5-foot gate where the openings in between the 1.5-inch panels are 2.5 inches, and the height of the posts are 5'4".
Wait,
Can I
quick.
get a second on that, Peter?
Second,
All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Chip?
Hold on one
And
second. Could Ramon, can you send me like a revised plans with the space?
Yes, I will.
Revised drawing? Okay,
Great, thank you, Derek, for that.
no problem.
Where was I? Esperanza
Yes.
and Chip?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, Ramon, so if you can get that drawing to Derek for our files, you're good to go. And thank you so much for being so flexible.
Cooperative. Yeah, fabulous.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay.
everybody. Thank you.
Have a nice
Thank
evening.
you. We love you, Ramon.
Joel Zychick, tax map number 300-172-11-7251 Bluff Road in Amagansett. And that would be Peter. And Michael, we're looking for someone on the line, possibly Joel.
Yes, I have a caller on the line. I will unmute now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Caller, you're live with the ARB. Could you state your name, please?
Joel Zychick.
Okay, I'm going to hand this over to Peter. Peter, will you read into the record what the application is for and why we are where we are today?
okay. This application was before us before, and it was denied by the board because the fencing is located off the property line as per the survey provided. And also the fencing in the front plane of the property will have to be brought down to 6 feet or less. The owner has submitted what is called a boundary line agreement for both the east and the west property line, which the fence has encroached upon. I'd like to turn it over now to Nancy Lynn, who can address these issues.
Well, Mr. Zychick, Nancy Lynn Thiel, I'm an assistant town attorney. This is a boundary line agreement, but this is just an encroachment agreement. You didn't change ownership of the boundary line, correct?
No, but it provides that the neighbors can require the fence to be moved at any time, and both fences were moved at the request to where they are to accommodate the landscaping.
I understand that. The issue that we have is that this board only has jurisdiction to approve fencing on your property. So if it were truly a borderline agreement in which you are moving the border and that is now your property, then this board would have jurisdiction. But just because they have given you permission to have the fence there doesn't mean that this board has jurisdiction to approve a fence there.
Understood. The original request as filed is only for the board's approval of the south-facing fence. And at the first hearing, the board requested that I provide these agreements on the east and west-facing fences. But if you don't have jurisdiction over them, I'm pleased to focus just on the south-facing fence.
You can't get a C of O.
Pardon me?
Certificate of occupancy if this board doesn't say that it's ready for a certificate of occupancy. And their issue is that you have fencing where you can attempt to get that from and have, if you think that the building inspector would in some way, if they approve the rest of your application, the only thing that they could say is that it's ready for a certificate of occupancy as to everything but those two fences, and it would be up to the building inspector whether or not she is satisfied that these documents allow for your fence to continue. But it's hard to get a certificate of occupancy for structures that
Understood, but as you know, at least on the what? Can you hear me better now?
Excuse me for 1 second. Nancy Lynn, your sound is very compromised.
I think it's the connection. I'm in Town Hall, and Town Hall does not have the best internet connection. I apologize.
Maybe it's something on your computer. Okay, go ahead. Joel, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
That's all right. I will note for you that at least with respect to the west-facing fence that encroaches the other property, I've received 2 C of Os from the building department since 2008 with that fence on the surveys because it serves as my pool fence on the west side. And the building department had no issue with it previously.
Well, then so long as, the caveat that you're getting is that any document from the ARB with regards to any authorizations will be that it's ready for a certificate of occupancy, but for these 2 items, which are then deferred to the building inspector.
Oh, that'll be fine.
Okay, because they can't say that they are in compliance. And you did not need any authorizations with regards to either of those fences, any length of those fences. You did not look to get approval for either of those. There's no requirement. They're all within as a matter of right.
I'm not quite understood your question.
Okay, the fencing that you're talking about on either side that is off your property, is it all under 4 foot?
No, the fencing in front of the house towards the street is 6 foot, and the fencing on the sides of the house going to the back of the house ranges from about 6.5 feet to 7 feet 2.
Okay. The fencing in the front of the house needs ARB approval because it's greater than 4 feet. And as such, this board does not have jurisdiction to approve 6-foot fencing in the front of the house that is not on your property.
Well, no. If you're talking about the portion of the fence that's in front of the house in front of the house, that's on encroaching. I'm very happy to have a caveat that I have to reduce it to 4 feet.
Okay, so, but they can't. I mean, if it's 4 feet, then they're not giving you approval for it. So they are not, as long as you're not asking for any approval for any of the fencing that encroaches on your neighbors, because they cannot give you that approval. So any of the fencing.
I'm not asking. I didn't ask for that, and the natural resources, when they referred this to you, was only reference to south-facing fence.
Well, it doesn't matter how the referral gets here. Once this board looks at it, they look at everything within that requires their approval, so that they don't say, and you don't. If you're referred for one thing and there's 3 things, they aren't going to make you come back 3 times. They're going to look at everything on the property that would require ARB approval. So, my understanding then is that the only thing you're asking this board for approval for is gates and not fencing?
I'm looking for approval for the south-facing fence on the survey.
Is any part of the south-facing fence off of your property?
Now let me look at the survey. If it is, I can move that.
Well, that's what I would suggest you do.
I can't tell from the survey that's on the. Hold on, I've got a copy of it. The television is a little compromised. Sorry.
Yeah, you should turn the TV off.
Yeah.
Betsy, which of your board members did the field?
No portion of the south-facing fence is encroaching.
Okay, so
if you look at the SASCA survey, of June 2020, no portion of the fence is encroaching.
So we're talking about the fencing that runs along behind your deck, correct? Is that the fence that we're referencing that's on the south-facing property?
Yes.
Okay. And how tall is that fence?
It ranges from 6'3" to 7 feet.
Right. And how tall is the gate? About the same, right?
The gate
6'3".
itself is from the top of the fence to the bottom is 6'4". The gate itself is 6 foot high. With the frame, it's 6'4".
Okay. Nancy Lynn, can we approve up to 6'4", 6'7" in the back? Does he even need our approval on that?
No, he doesn't need approval, and you can't approve because the fences are all connected. These are not separate fences. That's my problem on here. So, if he needs any approval of fencing, it brings the issue here that he's asking for approval of fencing that's not on his property, because that fence they're not separate fences, they just turn at the corner.
But the fencing that goes across the back part of the property
is that in for approval? I mean, let's go back a minute. He's seeking approval of what? What was the application originally?
Approval. The application referenced the natural resource approval letter, which says the south fence needs to go to the architectural review board.
Okay, so fencing needs to be approved by this board. If fencing needs to be approved by this board and it is all attached, which it appears to be attached, this board does not have jurisdiction until that fence is on your property.
Well, when you say it's attached, so if I have the south-facing fence ends at a pole on the east and a pole on the west, and several inches away there are new poles that start on the east and west fence. Are they attached?
It would have to be more than several inches. I mean, we can get away with that with regards to the arbor being not part of your fencing. But, just having a couple inches, if it's serving the same, it's still part of the fencing. I mean, there are people who put up one type of fence in one area of their yard and then totally separate in another area of their yard. It's not just a mythical, let's separate it by a couple inches. You're enclosing your property with this fence, and most of the fence is not on your property, and you're asking for approval for a fence that's not on your property. This board doesn't have jurisdiction.
Well, he's not really. He's not enclosing his entire property.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying though is it's serving the purpose of enclosing part of his property. So it is one fence that's doing that.
All right. However, let me say this: if he reduces his fence in the front to 4 feet, we don't have to give him approval on any of this because then it's not enclosed because he's down to 4
No, it
feet.
has nothing to do. It doesn't come into the deer fence exemption. If there's part of that fence that needs approval. So he can either get it all down so it's not within ARB jurisdiction, so 4 and 6, whatever, depending on where it is on the property, and that it doesn't need ARB approval, then that's fine. But ARB cannot approve fencing that's not on the property.
Okay, so how can we help Joel? How can we get him where he doesn't need ARB approval? By reducing the front fence to 4 feet?
All the fence from the front plane of the house forward would have to be 4 feet or less, and everything behind that would have to be 6 feet or less, not 6'4", but 6 feet or less.
And that doesn't include the fencing that's off on the east and the west side of his property that is higher than that. It's just the back fence, or it's all of that fencing, but we don't have jurisdiction.
We don't have jurisdiction, but you know, his neighbor will have issue because his neighbor will then require approval for fencing that's higher than 6 feet.
So Nancy Lynn, what do you recommend we do?
Yeah, because my neighbors are both new houses and they both have their C of Os in the last 2 years with that fence there.
I'm telling you what this board has jurisdiction over. I am not in charge of the building department. So I can't speak to that. But if you're asking, this board can't tell you that it's okay to have fencing that's of a certain height. The exposure of your neighbors is that fence is greater than 6 feet. They may need to find approval for it.
Understood, but they have the boundary line agreements that they can make the fence go away with their boundary line agreements. What do I need to do with the south? Okay, but on the south facing fence, if I reduce that to 6 feet and in the front of the house to 4 feet, that's on my property, can you opine then?
Well, then this board wouldn't have jurisdiction because you wouldn't need ARB approval. You would be able to have your fencing as a matter of right.
But how do I address the...
If you drop it
over, would also include your gates. Your gates that are part of that would all have to be in that
6 feet.
6 feet or anything in the backyard, 4 feet for anything from the front edge of your house forward. The front plane of your house.
I understand that part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So would the ARB inspection come out and say they don't?
Nope.
I don't need
ARB
approval?
would not touch
right now, the way that... Yeah, well, here's my dilemma. The building department says, we've looked at the natural resource letter, and we can't come out until you've gone through ARB. And if ARB says we can't say anything because it's on our jurisdiction, what do I tell the building department?
No. There's a missing component here. If you reduce your front fencing to 4 and you reduce the south back fencing to 6, ARB doesn't have to give you approval, and the building department will come out when you have all this down to those heights, and it will be under their jurisdiction.
So all I have to do is tell the building department that I didn't go to ARB because the fences are under 6 and 4 feet.
No, that you did come to ARB and they advised you to reduce them to 4 and 6, and therefore you go back to the building department because ARB gets taken out of the equation once you reduce the front to 4 and the back to 6. Okay? But before you go, Joel, Peter, do you have anything that you want to add to this while we're going through it with him? Peter?
No.
You okay with all of this?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any other questions?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Joel, and thank you, Nancy Lynn, for clarifying all this for him.
Problem.
Okay. All right. All right, Joel, you're good to go.
Bye-bye.
Okay. So Nancy Lynn, what do we do? How do we classify this? It's been...
He's going to withdraw his application and reduce it and go as a matter of right.
Well, if that's what he decides to do.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to move on. 7 Sally's Path.
Wait a minute. Joel, are you still online?
No, he has actually hung up.
He's hung up. Okay. Well, do we withdraw it or do we table it or?
I would, at this point, table it, at least for a month or so in case he decides that doesn't work for him and he wants to come back.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, so it's tabled.
It's tabled with the potential for withdrawing the application.
Yep.
Okay. 7 Sally's Path LLC, tax map number 300-91-1-16.4011 Timber Lane in East Hampton. And that is Esperanza, but Michael, we might have Mark Cardone on the line.
No, I think we'll have Mr. Hankowski, actually the owner.
Zoltan, right, from last time?
Yes.
I do have a phone call, and I will unmute it now. We'll see who it is. Hello, caller. You're live with the ARB.
Hello, this is Zoltan Hankowski.
There's Zoltan. Okay, hi,
this is
Zoltan.
Zoltan Hankowski.
Okay, Esperanza, can you bring us up to date where we are with all what happened with this and where we're going forward?
Yes, so I revisited the property and walked with the owner all along the fencing. Originally, the issue that came before us was the driveway gate and the fencing at the front of the house being over 6 feet. That has been reduced, and it is now all at 6 feet. Then along the side and the rear, there was an issue with some fencing appearing to be off the property and also appearing to be too tall. So I've walked with Zoltan, and the fencing that he has along the side of the property, which would be Is it the east side, I think? Well, it's at the end of where the highlighted portion is to the right. That is all 4-foot fencing toward the front, toward facing the street. But it had and he can clarify, it had 2 additional wires, or in fact, up to 4 additional wires. So it was either going to 6 feet or to 8 feet. And so as we walked along the whole perimeter, most of the fencing is at 8 feet. Some of it is now at 6 with the removal of a couple of those wires. So we're here to discuss what needs to be done with all of the rest of the fencing. And just to clarify also, the fencing that appears as if on the survey, as if it's not on the owner's property, is actually the neighbor's property. It's like a corridor between his fence and the neighboring fence, and it goes between 4 feet wide to maybe 2 to 3 feet wide. And that other neighbor's fencing is at 8 feet also.
Well, can I just ask a question with regards to that? So you're talking about the area on the survey that's just a little bit north left, where it says cable box, where the fencing is on the property, neighbor's property, and then they're on on Timber Lane property, they have a fence. So if a deer goes in there, can he get out, or she?
Well, yes, I believe so. There is actually preserve all around there, and where those fences end, and he can clarify, but where those fences end, it would be there's like a driveway, so there's like a whole little wooded area there, so they would be able to go in. I don't know what happens toward the other end, but
that's what my question would be. Do they go in and then get stuck? They can't go out unless they turn around
or back up. Yeah, that was my concern also, and I expressed
is there enough room for them to turn around?
I'm here, and I can answer that.
Thank you.
Sorry, board, I didn't mean to interrupt. The openings are open at both ends. In other words, the 2 fences run parallel, and there is an opening at each end so that the deer do not have to turn around. They can go directly from the road, as it were, from Timber Lane. If they came in on the Timber Lane end, they can go all the way to the back of the property, which is the what you call the reserve area. It's a natural reserve there.
Okay, as long as they're not going to get trapped. Okay.
It's
Yeah.
one-way traffic though, because it's only 1.5 feet apart.
Right.
In some
No,
areas.
no, it's not a foot and a half apart.
That's what the survey shows. Fence, right?
Well,
Yeah, Peter, I was there and I could only see a portion of it. And it was about, like I said, between 2 and 3 feet. I think you're right in saying it's sort of one-way traffic. But my concern was also that if they tried to jump, but they wouldn't really, I think, try to jump between those two fences, considering the limited amount of space they have. I don't know.
Well, that's
Well,
how.
if it's open on both ends, they might just wander in.
Right, wandering in and through like a corridor, like a little trail for them. Yeah, exactly.
But only being 1.5 feet or 2 feet wide at the narrowest, it's one-way traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but how tall are both those fences?
8 feet.
They are 8 feet. It's a problem. Is there a reason why that fence is there, the way that it comes off and then goes towards the property line? What's the point of that fence being in that property like that?
Which area are you referring to, Betsy?
Yeah,
Lot 17.
why have 2 fences?
Oh,
Right.
I see. Yeah, I know. I don't know. I mean, the owner that we're speaking to, Zoltan's property is a new property, and his neighbor, I guess, already had that fencing. Yeah.
I
Well, then I'd be very
was told
concerned
that I
about-
cannot.
Go ahead.
Please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so the reason why there are 2 fences is because when my house was built by the builder, he told me that the other property's fence is not on his property line, but a little bit further in. And if I attached anything to that fence, I would be encroaching part of his property. So
Right.
he said I couldn't do that, and therefore I needed to have my own fence, which was obviously more expensive for me, but since I had to do it, and it's not on the property line, it's a little bit in from the property line. When Esmeralda was here, I mean,
It looks like it's
I
6
don't know if
inches
she
in.
I mean, both ends are open, and deer can easily go back and forth on that, in that space. If they go sideways from one property to the other, they would have to jump 2 fences, which I don't think they could do. But that's not what's going to happen, most likely, because our property is totally fenced, and the neighbor's property is totally fenced, and this is kind of a pathway for them to go through.
You can pull up, Derek, if you would, some pictures, and I don't know if they'll really show what is being discussed, but I did try and take pictures.
Right. Do you have a feeling that this is potentially a problem? If a deer tries to jump, and they can jump an 8-foot fence, if a few feet away there's another 8-foot fence, they may not be able to clear that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm also concerned just because of the type of fencing, because it has the
wires
and then the wires, and so
Right.
it's hard to see that. Derek, if you could put the next picture. This is toward the front of the house. This is Zoltan's fence with the neighbor's fence behind it, which is the wooden post. And then I think there's one more photo maybe that I have there. You can see that's the corridor, the beginning of that corridor. So that's.
So let me ask this. This fence area that we're talking about, can we go back to the survey, Derek, please? The height is 8 feet. Is there some type of deer exemption here, Nancy Lynn, that he's allowed that 8 feet, or can we ask him to reduce that?
It's along, is it where it's highlighted?
No,
No,
if you look up on the right corner where it says cable box, his fencing runs along a little bit inside his property. The neighbor's has an 8-foot fence that's a few feet, let's say, north of that, okay, northeast or whatever.
Right.
Could we require him to have this fence at 6 feet versus 8 feet?
Yes, anything over 6 feet would need your approval.
And so he doesn't have our approval for this 8-foot fence.
No, 8-foot fence is not as a matter of right. So anything over 6 feet has to have ARB approval.
Okay, and the area that is highlighted in yellow is how high?
That's 6 feet.
And the area that goes from the end of the highlighted area to the corner that we were talking about by the cable box, how high is that?
At this moment, it is at 6 feet because the 2 extra wires were removed. But
Okay.
there are posts that are at 8 feet, so that's still
The post would need to be,
cut down.
And Zoltan, the fencing on your neighbor's property in lot 17, that's 8 feet, does that go all the way up to the end? To the, let's say, the west north corner?
It goes beyond that because his property is beyond mine.
Okay. All right.
In other
And
words,
what about
my
the rest of the fencing that goes from the left of the end of the yellow line up and around to your, behind your swimming pool? How tall is that?
That's 6 feet fencing with 2 wires above it.
So it's 8 feet.
Yes.
And what are you looking to do? What would you like to do? I'd like to see all of this down to 6 feet, to be honest with you.
Well, what my application is to modify the previous application, which you approved in the front, which was 6 foot, to approve the currently existing fencing, which is right now 6 feet and with 2 feet of wire on top of that. And that's what I would like to do because that's the only way that I'll be able to keep the deer out. If you want me to, along the side where the neighbor already has an 8-foot fence, I can reduce it to a 6-foot fence, but not. I would prefer to keep my other 8-foot fence around the what you would call the west side of the property.
Right, that's behind the pool. Right. Nancy Lynn?
And it's not even on the property line. If you notice, my fence is not on the property line. It's way inside the property line.
Well, it's not way inside, but right. But we also, don't like to see properties entirely closed. So we are glad that it's not on the property line. Nancy Lynn, if he brought that north area down to 6 feet and left his 8-foot fencing around back behind the swimming pool area, is that to code with ARB approval?
it is, but the wires and the posts, you were approving it to 8 feet.
Just in that back area that's existing?
Mm-hmm. You have the authority to go to 8 feet back there, yep.
What do you think, Esperanza?
Well, I expressed the same concerns to Zoltan when I was there. And so as he had already, as I said, removed a couple of those wires along the east side of the property that we were talking about. And he said he would be willing to remove, as he just said again now, what continues along that property line to lot 17. I think that would be better. I don't even know if that's helpful or not for the wildlife, but I think that would be better.
Well, I think it seems that if they were to somehow get in and jump, that they wouldn't be caught up into, all that
Yeah,
wire.
that's awful.
Yeah.
Well, there would
And-
still be 2 wires, right? But not 4.
Well, he would have to bring it down to 6 feet and bring the post down to 6 feet too.
I
Whether
don't,
it's
Correct.
fencing,
Yes, correct.
yeah. Right.
Betsy,
So, go ahead, Peter.
I don't see the advantage of reducing it down to 6 feet. I don't think the wires on top of the 6-foot fence are visually obtrusive. I think, right, the question is on Timber Lane, right, in a yard facing a street, right, the yellow area appears to be at 6 feet, which is what the code is, right? Right. The remainder of the property with a 6-foot fence with 2 wires or 4 wires above it, up to 8 feet, having a reserve area, right, on the west side, right, reserve area C, right? I don't see the advantage of reducing it down to 6. In relationship to the property lot number 17, if you have an 8-foot fence on one side, right, and reducing his fence down to 6 feet, you're still going to have the corridor through there, and it just means that the deer would be more tempted to jump into over the 6-foot fence into his property. So I don't see the advantage of asking him to reduce those areas down to 6.
I hear your point.
Yeah, and I agree with you about the wires being unobtrusive. The property is beautiful. Everything is lovely and landscaped, and I understand why there's the desire to have all the fencing. But I just wonder about the wires and the wildlife. I mean, we don't see them. So if we don't see them, do they see them, the animals?
They do. They will not jump over, right, an 8-foot fence. They know that the wire is there.
Well, we don't know that, and there, there's proof that animals are getting caught up in these wires, and when you have very narrow corridors, when they go to jump over to one, they get caught up and hit the second one. That was my concern. Whether it's 6 feet or 8 feet, is that going to stop it? That I don't know. I'm not an expert. I'm not Del Combs, so I really don't know. But I was just, feeling that it would just feel better, but that's not the reason to ask him to reduce it. So where are we with this, Esperanza?
I don't know. I mean, let's gauge Zoltan's.
Well, let me ask Diane and Chip for their take on this. Diane?
Well, yeah.
I mean, because you're near the wildlife preserve. And
I am right next to the nature trail in East Hampton Village, and we do have that 8-foot wire, and I know that they will jump that 8-foot wire. I mean, that's what we're allowed in the village, a 6-foot fence and a wire at 8 feet. And I know that they will jump that wire. So,
and are you concerned about, do you think, in your opinion, it would be advantageous to drop the back area by lot 17, since he would have the 8-foot fence very near him? Or do you think it doesn't matter? And to Peter's point, they're just going to jump from the corridor over the 6-foot fence.
Yeah, maybe that's more dangerous, the 6-foot fence. Maybe it's better to have the 2 high fences.
Right, the corridor.
Because we'll have that sort of, that animal instinct.
Yeah. And Chip, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, usually when there's parallel fences, they don't want to jump in between them because they see what's going to happen.
All right. So where are we, Esperanza, then, if we leave the back at 8 feet in his property and we leave the west side at 8 feet and he's reducing Timber Lane to 6? Is that where we're at?
That's exactly right. And the question would be if the area just right of the driveway, which is right now, as I said, it was at 8 feet and he removed 2 wires. Would he put the wires back and leave it at
No.
8 feet, or put it?
No,
leave it at 6?
Leave it at 6.
Okay, so then that would be, so the whole front of the property and side, not the side of the pool, but the side to the right of the driveway would remain at 6 feet, front and side, and then the rear and areas surrounding the swimming pool would all be at 8 feet.
Right, and that's existing now, so we would be able to, and Nancy Lynn heads up on this, would we be able to, because this was for C of O last meeting, since he already reduced the areas in question down to 6 feet, can we move forward and put this through for a certificate of occupancy? Since Esperanza has already been out to do the site inspection, and he also had put in his application for a certificate of occupancy last meeting.
You can, but he hasn't reduced those poles.
Ah, yes, that's true.
Okay. I didn't hear about the poles. So Zoltan, if you can remove those poles and let us know by next Thursday, Esperanza will come back out. And based on those poles being reduced, then at the next meeting, we can put it on for the reissue of the certificate of occupancy. Okay?
Okay.
Does that sound good? Yes?
I think we need a
to
motion
do
on
is
this.
Esperanza will come, but all I have to do is reduce the poles.
Yes,
Right.
but you have to let Derek know by next Thursday at 12 o'clock that the polls are reduced so that he can put it on the agenda, and Esperanza will then be notified to go out to see it before the meeting.
Okay.
Yes? Yeah, so just to be clear,
Yes,
so that
the answer
area
is
that,
yes.
okay, great, all right.
Okay, so we're going to table this.
No, I think.
No,
I think you need a motion on this.
Oh, you're right, we're
Yeah.
approving it. We're
Yeah.
approving it. Okay.
So
All right.
we're approving it, but to be clear, we're approving with a certain adjustment, correct?
Right. Go ahead. And state those.
So I make a motion to approve the application as submitted, approving a 8-foot deer fencing around the swimming pool and rear of the yard and north, and what the boundary with lot 17, and then the front facing timber lane and to the right or east of the driveway would be at 6 feet, all posts reduced to 6 feet.
Right, which is highlighted on the survey. Excellent. Okay, all right, Zoltan, are we clear?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for your help. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Betsy, we need a second. And
I'm sorry. Thank you. Peter, can I get a second?
Second.
Esperanza? No, she made the motion. I'm sorry. Diane?
Yes, aye.
All in favor? Aye. Chip?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Great. Okay. Let's move forward to extension of time. Montauk Manor condominiums, tax map number 300-27.2-1-1 and 2. 236 Edgemere Street in Montauk.
Chair, if I may, I believe there's a caller on the line for this.
Great. I think it might be Mark Schneider.
Caller, you're
Yes,
live.
it is. Good afternoon, Chair.
Hi, Mark. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? And I hope everybody's staying well under these interesting circumstances.
Yes. So let me just
Thank you.
read
Yes,
into
I'm the attorney for. Just so everybody knows, I'm the attorney for Montauk Manor condominium.
Right. So back in July 27th of 2017, the ARB board approved a series of renovations and parking spaces and changes to the restaurant so that they can increase their seating. And Mark, if you'll tell us briefly why you're looking for the extension of time and what's holding you up, please.
Sure. No problem. Thank you for the floor. So basically, the only thing that's holding us up right now is the health department approval, which we expect to get very shortly. Obviously, things got a little bit slowed down recently with respect to getting a final inspection by the health department. I will tell you, yesterday on the planning board's calendar was a request for an extension there. And they actually granted our extension, I think, to the June 14th, 2021 date. The Montauk Manor is prepared to do the things that they can do also. We had actually applied for a building permit to do the items that were on the ARB approval, which was dealt with the storage containers and the removal of the recreational item that was on the grass, etc. But when we applied for the building permit, the planning board said, based upon the approvals, that we couldn't get the building permit until the health department approval was given. Even though they're independent, we actually were hoping they were going to let us do them independently, because the reality of it is while they're all required to get the ultimate certificate of occupancy, they are independent items. They really shouldn't be tied together. But the way that the resolutions read, they seem to indicate that we have to get the health department approval. And by the way, the health department approval is not us. That's actually the restaurant operator that ultimately has to get those final approvals. So we're somewhat subjected to that. So really what we're asking for is we're just asking for you to extend it for the year. We don't expect we're going to need a year. The planning department, the planning board actually gave us a year. We want to get this thing done yesterday. We really don't see too many hiccups. And had the planning board let us just go forward with our building permit, we could have been in a position to have everything done by the time the health department gave their approvals.
Right. So let me just let the board know what we resolved back in 2017 and approved was the cedar stockade fencing that was going to go around two storage containers. They were relocating some of their parking to gain more parking spaces in order to go from a small 35-seat restaurant indoors to also extend outside so that they would have in total 83 seats. And there was also some fencing. And I think, Peter, you'll recall we asked them to maintain that maple tree and not to knock that down in order to do that storage section. Do you remember that, Peter?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I remember because ARB has no jurisdiction over trees.
No, but it was a request, and they were able to reconfigure the parking. But in any event, Mark, I'm just curious, did you start any of that work since this resolution came about?
No, we can't, because we need a building permit for it, and they won't. The planning board won't let us get the building permit until the health department approval. And just so you know, some of the delay was caused, you may or may not be aware, some of the delay was caused because there was a tenant in there at a time, their lease expired, and there's a new tenant in there now that hasn't opened yet. They actually need that health department approval to physically open as well. So that's where some of that interim delay comes from.
Okay. I just wanted to get an update for my own edification. So I don't see any reason not to approve this extension of time. Does anybody have any questions or problems if I move forward with approval?
No.
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 So I'd like to make a motion to approve the extension of time for the Montauk Manor condominium. Can I get a second, Peter?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
Chip?
Aye.
All right. All right, Mark, you're good to go. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you. Will we get, I guess there'll be a formal resolution on this, or?
Derek, can you speak to that, please?
Or it just goes in as a minute?
A resolution will be written up and should be ready within the next 2 weeks. So you should hear back from me before the next meeting.
So he gets a letter, correct?
Okay, but it's approved. But it's approved as of today, right? So we don't have to worry about the fact that it was about to lapse, because we're going to be pretty close in the 2 weeks, I think, to when it's up. Right, July 27th is the date.
Mark, if you have a problem, you can ask the building department to verify with Derek or myself that the paperwork will be forthcoming, but that the action of the board is to extend it.
I thank you very much, all of you, and be safe and have a great evening.
Great. You
Thank
too.
you.
Thank you.
Good. You too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Next
you.
for
Bye-bye.
extension, good night. Next for extension of time is Sean McPherson, tax map number 300-32-6-3, 139 DeForest Road in Montauk. I believe this is tabled. Is that correct, Derek?
Well, there's two parts to it. There's the C of O and there's the extension of time.
Yeah, I think the C of O was tabled, not the extension of time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's do the extension of time. Chip, please.
So this is a fascinating historical project. I think you're all aware of the Seven Sisters, the McKim-Eaton White Houses out in Montauk. This was the eighth sister. It was actually the clubhouse that served those seven other houses. And it was the first one built in the 1880s, and it burned in the 1930s. Sean McPherson applied in a very detailed historical set of plans to rebuild the clubhouse as it was in 2015-16. It's an empty site at the moment with just a 1960s cottage, a swimming pool, a small pool house, and a garage.
Oh, God.
And he's never built this house for
I can't talk now, honey.
reasons I'm not sure about. Maybe Britton Bistrian will tell us why, but he's applied for an extension of time. It would be one of the most significant recreations on the east end of an historical structure.
But I believed that the reason why this was tabled was because the pool house and the garage do not meet what the approved elevations were. I'm getting
right, but this is for an extension of time to build the house, not the C of O issues on the garage and the pool house. I think are different issues.
Okay. So he's all right. So I understand. Okay. All right.
Is Britton Bistrian on the line? She might inform us why he's asking for an extension, as it's been 4 or 5 years that this has not been built.
There are no current callers on the line.
So, well, when I spoke with Britton, she explained that it just became a very large project, and whatever his personal reasons were, be it timing, finance, that they just didn't do the clubhouse, but that they did build the pool house and the garage, and the pool house has a pergola. So they're looking for a C of O for those two structures.
Okay, both those structures have problems. They were not built per the plans. The plans show a 1-story garage. He built a 2-story garage, 3-car, 2-story garage. The pool house is a 10 by 20 structure. He added a 5 by 10 reverse gable to cover a set of basement stairs. And the pergola was never built attached to the pool house. So both the structures he's built were not per the plans that we have in my file.
Is that what the pergola is supposed to be? Is that the pool house?
That's the pool house. The structure in the back is 10 by 20. And then there's an open terrace porch. That's the part that was not on the original plans, the reverse gable covering the stairs to the basement. But then the plans show a trellis coming out from the covered porch, which was never built. That part doesn't bother me the most. The 2-story garage really bothers me. Britton tried to say it's a 1-story garage because it's open on the inside, but it's a 2-story building that reads from the outside. And this is the pool that was built in front of the pool house.
Excuse me, Chair, there is a new caller if you'd like me to see if this
Okay.
is...
No, this is Andy Hammer we're holding for, and Tara Burke we're holding for the following application, or
Okay.
Brett Hartman's Briny Breezes.
Fair enough.
Okay. So on this, I mean, they've withdrawn the C of O application because Britain's going to try and find later plans that may explain why they built what they built. So that's tabled for the moment. I mean, I don't know if this guy will ever build this clubhouse, but I would think it would be in our interest to give him an extension of time in case he does.
Can I ask, is it supposed to be a private home, the clubhouse?
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be a residence. Nancy Lynn, can I ask this just technically?
Yes.
If the resolution from the April 14, 2016 included not only the residence clubhouse, plus a pool house and a garage, can we just split them because they didn't build it and now they built the pool house and the garage, but it's not, I don't know. I'm just a little concerned.
They're not asking you to modify it to remove those others. What they're asking you is to extend it so that they have more time to come through and do the other builds. So the application before you is simply to extend the entire approval. If the board, you know, it's up to you to deny it, but I haven't actually heard any discussion that there's a reason to deny it. They always have the option. They have the option of coming and asking you to modify it so that it's reduced down to just what they did do. And my understanding is that's not what they're asking of the board.
Right. Well, they're asking for also for a C. They were asking for a C of O. So my question to Derek is, did they put in a modification to the original resolution in order to just take only part of it for the C of O? Wouldn't they need to modify that before they put in?
No,
in for
they can do it in stages. C of Os do not have to be the entire approval. We get this with the planning board and the zoning board. It's pretty common that they'll do part of the project, but need a C of O so that they can actually live there or occupy the premises.
Okay.
And so that's clear. Yeah, they can do it in part of it. Yep.
Okay. So, Chip, if you want to move forward to make a approval for the extension of time, I didn't hear anybody have any other questions. If they did,
I would ask that we allow them an extension of time to consider building, rebuilding, reconstructing the period clubhouse. I give them, I don't know, a year. I don't know what's typical of extension of times, a year.
I think it's 18 months.
Okay, I mean, the thing would be so magnificent if Sean McPherson does build it, it would be a plus for everybody. If he doesn't build it, you know, it's our loss, but it would really be an astonishing structure, and it's on the highest point of the Montauk Association, so it would command a view over everything.
yeah. Okay, so we're going to ask for a second on the approval extension of time. Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Esperanza?
Yeah, aye.
Diane? Diane?
You might be muted.
Yeah, she's
We
muted.
have to wait for a minute or we lost her.
Well, Betsy, we can move forward without her.
You're
We
just
have,
muted, Diane. Yep.
Here she is. Diane?
Diane, this is Mike at LT.
You're muted.
I'm going to try to unmute you, Diane. Just don't click unmute on your end. Just a moment, okay? It doesn't seem to be functioning. If you want to try to maybe disconnect your headset and plug it back in for a moment.
Still muted.
I've tried a few times from my end to unmute that, Diane. My only suggestion at this time would be Diane, to just briefly log out of the Zoom chat, the whole Zoom call, and log right back in. Just take a minute. Reestablish the audio connection, hopefully.
Just to be clear, the extension would be for 18 months?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Diane,
And then
Diane, I'm gonna excuse me, everybody, just to finish this. Diane, I'm gonna remove you from the Zoom call myself and just sign back in. Hopefully, she'll sign back in just a moment. Sorry, everybody.
Nancy Lynn also seems to be muted.
How can you tell, Peter?
I was muted on purpose.
And now you are again. There's a little speaker with a red line through it.
Yes, I know. I mute myself when I'm not speaking.
Good for you. Can we mute you?
The LTV broadcast coordinator may, but you may not.
All right, Diane just texted me, says, I don't know what happened, but my whole system is frozen.
Oh, no.
Okay. Well, what she should do, if someone could communicate to her, is to simply, if system means her computer isn't working, she would have to reboot her computer and turn the Zoom application back on and try to rejoin the link. I don't know what system not malfunctioning means.
Let me ask you this, Michael. Can I text her your number and she can call you? Okay.
You have my number?
She might find it easier to come on by her phone as well. That might be easier.
She can just call the regular call-in number too and be on the whole time audibly on her cell phone, like everyone else that calls in the phone.
Well, let me do this. Let me have her call you and you can instruct her how to do that, okay?
Sure thing.
Okay. What's your number?
I'll send it to her.
Yeah. I'd rather not publicly display that.
Right. I thought it was an LTV number. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you, Esperanza.
Sure thing.
Esperanza, are you sharing his contact?
Yeah.
Can you share it with me too? I might need it for future reference.
Yep, please.
Send it to both of you right now. Let me know you get it, okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to tell her that you're sending Michael's contact. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Contact. Please call him. Okay.
Hello?
Nancy Lynn, can we keep going forward since we still have 4 members?
Yes.
Okay. So for issuance of certificate of occupancy, Sean McPherson, that's been tabled, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The next one is Fieldstone at East Hampton LLC, which is tax map number 300-169-3-1 515 Montauk Highway in East Hampton, and that would be Peter.
I have visited the property, right, and it is totally in compliance with what we approved originally. The light fixtures have been installed. The exterior has been painted. The doors have been painted. And those windows which had been proposed to be replaced have been replaced. As far as I can see, this property is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
It looks very clean and tidy.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it just needs some significant landscaping.
Yes, well, I'm sure they'll get to that. Okay, did I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Peter, what's this going to be used for? A motel or housing?
I'm not sure whether it will be for workers' housing or for a motel. It is set up as a motel, right, in that the units consist of a kitchenette, right, or a kitchen, a galley kitchen, a living room, and a bedroom and a bathroom. So it could be workers' housing or it could be a motel. Right now, there's no signage on it. They are planning on numbering the rooms, so I can't tell.
My recollection when they came before us, that it was going to be like rental cottages.
Yeah. This is where Ben Krapinski housed his workforce. This was his housing.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on.
I'd like to make a motion that I contact the building department to make them aware that this project is ready for the issuance of a certificate of occupancy.
Right, and we went through all the motions. Okay, thank you. The next one is Beach Lane Holding.
Excuse me if I may. I've now connected with Diane over the telephone. You should be able to hear. Diane, can you hear everybody?
Okay, hello. Yes, I can hear them.
Hi, Diane.
Hi, Diane.
Welcome back.
We can hear you.
While you were,
I can't see you, but I can hear you. Okay. Anyway, so I think Beach.
So let me just say,
Beach Lane is up.
Yes, but while you were missing, we did Fieldstone, and that was approved for your edification. Sean McPherson for C of O tabled, and now we're on Beach Lane Holding, tax map number 300-200-02-19, 84 Beach Lane in Waynescott, and that's Diane Benson.
Yes, I have visited the property, and every detail of our resolution has been complied with on this very, very gracious property. It totally corresponds with our resolution, and I have some pictures. I can't see them, but maybe Derek can show you.
We can.
Oh, he is. They look nice.
Oh, okay, well, yeah, it looks beautiful. It looks like everything is in perfect sync. So I would like to make a motion to instruct staff to contact the building department that 84 Beach Lane is totally ready for a C of O.
Great. Can I get a second on that, Esperanza?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
And Betsy, aye. Okay. The next one on the agenda is 7 Sally's Path. We've tabled that for the next meeting to reduce the posts. And I'll move to the HBBT Trust, tax map number 300-118-1-12.74, and that's 400 Hands Creek Road in East Hampton, and that would be Chip.
This is a very complicated building project that we gave permission to have a roof line 3 feet higher than what would normally be allowed several years ago, and they were asking me to verify that the roof line was built 3 feet higher as we approved. I have no way of doing that. I talked to Jameson, and she was going to ask them to submit a survey that their surveyor would attest that the 3 foot high roof line is in line with the plans. The 3 foot higher roof line is in line with the plans.
A modest little cottage.
Yeah, it's an original house with an enormous addition. In talking to Jameson, there's no way I can verify anything that they did there. So she was going to ask the applicant to have their surveyor verify the height of the roof lines in question. And so I never went to the site, and I think this should have been tabled.
Chair, if I may, there is a caller on the line, whether or not that pertains to this.
Okay, let's see here who it is.
Hello, caller, you're live with the ARB. Could you state your name?
Yes, Tom Lawrence, Bulgin and Associates. Good evening, board members.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom. So Tom was the
if I
applicant on
may,
this
and
project.
Sure, go ahead.
yes, and actually, if I may, this afternoon we actually have the surveys in question in hand. I picked up the printed, signed, and official documents this afternoon, and I can provide them to the board as early as tomorrow morning. They do confirm all the elevations are precisely as approved by the board when the project was before it.
Well, Nancy Lynn, if I may.
Can't do it without seeing those, so why don't you have them get them in and put this on for the next meeting?
Right. Jameson was. Excuse me for 1 second, Tom. Nancy Lynn, Jameson was waiting to talk with John about some of this, and she was concerned about that we weren't provided with an executed copy of the covenant, which should have been filed with the county. So there was nothing in our file based on that. And if we don't have a filed copy of the covenant, then we will have to ask the applicant to provide a copy of that as well. Is that something that you're familiar with, Nancy Lynn?
I'm not familiar with it, but generally we cannot approve a C of O if one of the conditions was a filing of a CNR, and the CNR, we need proof of that filing of that CNR. So if I'm sure that if that's an issue that we need proof on, that's something that the applicant can give our office a call tomorrow in case there's a question on that, and we can get the materials together. Our office has no problem reviewing those materials and being able to report to Derek whether or not it's ready to be on the next meeting date.
Okay. So Tom, you wanted to say something?
Yes, thank you. We, of course, have the covenant. I believe it's actually on file with the building department. It was a condition of approval for the building permit, but I can certainly provide copies of that as well.
Great.
Not to be bold, because time is of the essence for the client, would it be at all possible for the board to issue a conditional approval subject to confirmation by survey and submittal of the required filed covenants?
Nancy Lynn, I don't have a problem with that. Are you okay with that?
Well, there's no such thing as a conditional C of O. So what it would be is if it would basically be saying that so long as these items are verified, it is ready for a C of O. The board can do that, but it has to be very clear in that correspondence to the building department what items that the building department should have in hand prior to issuing the C of O. So those things, to be quite clear, is that there be confirmation on an official survey that the height of the roof is in compliance with the approval, and that would probably be something that instead of an attorney's office, the attorney determining that, but that the building department confirm that because they do read building plans and surveys much more than the rest of us do. And then the second item that the CNRs have been properly submitted, filed, and accepted by because they also have to be accepted by the town board.
Okay, so if all those issues are satisfied to the office, then we could then move forward with the C of O.
Yes, and then it's ready for a C of O as soon as those items are, those conditions are satisfied.
Right. What, Peter?
I just said subject to.
Subject to, right.
Those items.
Right.
Well, in the end, though, no one has visited the site. I mean, wouldn't we want to go out with the surveys that Tom's suggesting and look at the site, because we'll have never visited it and we're approving the C of O.
Yes, it should be, somebody should visit the site to make sure it's built as, I didn't know there hadn't been a site inspection yet.
So Chip, you did not go out to the property?
So Jameson and I agreed that it was silly for me to go to the property because I had no way to verify this roof line.
Okay. So
I think we should table this till next meeting. It seems rushed to approve it.
Yeah, Nancy Lynn, based on that we need to do a site inspection, why don't we get all the paperwork in? We'll do the site inspection and then we'll have this on the next meeting. I think that's
best. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Tom, I'm really sorry about that, but we didn't have the proper information to do the site inspection.
No apology needed, and we appreciate the board's consideration. We're perfectly content to have it tabled, and we'll provide the information. And I think it'll, at the end of the day, it'll be both smooth and timely. So thank you.
And let me just say this. All of the information and documentation that Nancy Lynn outlined for you and us needs to be to Derek by next Thursday by noon in order to get back on the agenda, okay?
Before noon.
By noon, right? Before noon. And what date is that next Thursday?
Absolutely.
Today, the 16th, I believe. Okay?
Absolutely, and thank you.
All right, thank you, Tom. Okay. Next one for C of O is Hartman Briny Breezes, tax map number 300-71-2-10693 Old Montauk Highway in Montauk. And I think Andy Hammer was on the line for Lighthouse Planning.
Yes, just a moment. I'll be unmuting him right now.
Hi, this is actually Tara Burke and Andy Hammer together.
Hi, Tara. Hi, Andy. So I went out to the property, and what this was for a new decking on the number 30 building, which you see here, which was completed. And then there's another picture for the number 10 building, which replaced partial of the decking. And you can see that this will weather to be, the grade off cedar, like the other building that they did replace the decking. So they have satisfied the resolution, and I would like to make a motion to instruct staff that this is ready for a certificate of occupancy. Can I have a second on that, Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Chip?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
And Diane?
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, so you're good to go on Hartman's. The next and last is Main Street Tavern LLC, tax map number 300-171-1-14177 Main Street, and that ends it. Peter?
Yes.
And Diane, you can jump in here too, because you did all the site inspections.
Right.
Okay, if need be.
There are a number of applications to this property. One is the sign with the lighting as noted, which has been installed as per the original resolution. The second is the color of the exterior of the building, which is been installed as per what was approved. The third on this side is the modification to the entrance, which is a vestibule area, and the replacement of the front windows. One concern that we do have that we noted is that I believe the original application did not note replacement of the sconce lighting along the front and side of the building, right? from when I took the picture originally, which was a few days ago, the lens, the glass lens, has been changed from clear or transparent to this white or frosted. The back of the building also has an application for the modification of the entrance, the air conditioning, and cooking units, not the cooking units, the exhaust units that are on the roof, all of which have been done. I believe that the only concern that I have is the lighting. Sconce lighting, as I mentioned, which is not originally applied for. Excuse me.
Yeah. I made a phone call to Tara to say that I had driven by the property and I had noticed the new light sconces as well, and called Peter, and he confirmed what I had, thought, and Peter's concern was that the light sconces are not dark sky compliant, and therefore Tara went and asked the owners to put in a frosted shade and I guess paint the inside black. So my question is to Nancy Lynn, I guess, does this make them now dark sky compliant?
I cannot tell you that.
Nancy Lynn is a lighting expert.
I am not a lighting expert. That would have to be, that would be the building department would be able to tell you if that's now night sky compliant. Their tear sheets like that they make that determination, but you could, so long, I mean, were the approval of the light fixtures different than what the board approved?
Yes, well, when we made the approval for the resolution, what they said was that the light fixtures were not going to change, so we approved the existing light fixtures. And so
they'll need to
no, it says existing lights to be replaced with new dark sky compliant fixtures.
Okay.
I didn't see that in the resolution. I just saw,
it's noted on the drawing.
Okay. All right.
So, well, that's good, because that means that they don't need to go back for a modification. So then the only issue is.
Wait, excuse me. The only thing is we didn't approve these new, the style of these new lights.
But you're
submitted.
Your approval says that as long as they are night sky compliant, they're approved. So you didn't specify which ones. So I would argue that they are consistent with your approval so long as they are night sky compliant. And I would simply defer to the building department with regards to that, whether or not they are so deemed by them to be night sky compliant.
I agree.
But they don't look anything like the ones on the plans that were just up.
The ones on the plan were reflecting what was there. If you see the note in the upper left.
Okay, got it.
They were just showing the existing with a note.
Oh, I see it. Existing lights to remain. Got it. Oh, no, that's up above.
No, to the left.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Got it. Okay, got it.
Wait, I lost my screen. Hold on. Let me catch up with you. What were we looking at? Where it says
the lights.
On the upper left. Existing pilaster lamps to be replaced with new dark sky compliant fixtures.
When I look at, do we have the resolution up? Can we look at that resolution, Derek, please?
Board members, if I could just interject, if the April
Wait,
9th
wait. Tara, wait just 1 second. I want to look at the resolution. We just want to be very clear on this, okay? Do you have that, Derek?
The resolution has the existing lighting. The existing lighting will be replaced with dark sky compliant fixtures.
But not specifying the design.
Nope.
Right. Okay. All right. So Tara, what were you going to say?
I was just going to tell you the resolution date since there's 5 resolutions. That's all.
Okay. So let me just poll the board. Does anybody have a problem with the style of these light fixtures on the building that go in the front, down the alley, and then are also in the back?
Chair, if I may, you can't revisit this approval. The approval just says night sky. You can't go back.
And anyway, I don't have a problem.
Okay. Well, that's all I was asking, if anybody had an issue with. Okay. So Nancy Lynn, can you advise us how we should proceed?
Well, I would advise staff that it's ready for a C of O, as to inform the building department that it's ready for a C of O, so long as the building department verifies that these new fixtures are night sky compliant.
Second.
Well, I think somebody else better move that, because I'm not on the board, but you know what I mean. Somebody adopt that motion and then you can second it.
Well, before we do that, Tara or Andy, do you want to say anything about this? Or are you okay with us having, needing to go to planning to confirm this?
No, building, not planning.
Building, sorry.
Don't set them to planning.
They were designed to be there. They don't have any light spill. Everything casts downwards. You can't see the source of illumination, so everything's fine. So that would be great.
Okay. So Peter, if you'd go ahead with the motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we instruct staff to inform the building department that this project is ready for a C of O, subject to confirmation that the sconce light fixtures on the front and side of the building are night sky compliant.
They're also on the back as well. Okay. Do I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Chip. All in favor, Diane?
Aye.
Esperanza?
Aye.
Aye, and Betsy, aye. Okay. So how does this work, Nancy Lynn? How does Derek walk this over? Do we send or does it just go through as a notification to the building department? How does this work so that Tara and Andy know?
Goes through the same way all the other ones go through. It just has a little additional language, and Derek's done a few of these in the past. I'm sure it will not be. It won't be too different than what he normally does.
Okay. And Derek, when you do this, do you actually walk that over and point that out so that they could, take a look at it?
No, I just write a memorandum up, and in the memorandum, it states that whatever the condition.
And will they go out and do an inspection then, Nancy Lynn?
Generally, yes.
Okay. All right, good. I just want to be really clear. All right. Thank you, Andy and Tara.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. I'd like to make a motion to close the meeting. Can I have a second, Peter?
Second.
All in favor, Diane?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, aye.
And Chip? Aye.
Yes.
And Betsy, aye. All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much. And thank you, Derek.
Good
Bye,
night.
Nancy Lynn.
Yo.
Bye, Nancy Lynn.
Aye.